There we go, and we're live. So thanks everyone for coming back. We weren't here last week, but this is the Invisible Gamecast, brought to you by Invisible Gamer. My name's Gabe Gurwin. I'm the managing editor here at Invisible Gamer, and we're going to go around. We'll go with our returning faces, and then we'll talk about our new face here. So there down on the right, you see Seth Scott.
Hello, everyone.
And there below him is, or next to him, I guess, is Michael Burns.
Hey guys.
You had like a frozen smile on your face, and I don't know if you were holding that.
I was doing that.
Oh, okay. I thought my screen froze.
I was trying to get some attention.
Okay. And next to him is a YouTube friend of ours, and this his YouTube username is Canipa Possum.
Yeah, it is.
But his name's
That's
Callum
helpful.
May.
Hello.
Now, first, I just want to introduce you, I guess, a little bit. So tell everyone a little bit about what you do.
Oh God, I'm on the spot here. I do video game reviews over at the aforementioned YouTube channel, and I'm a video producer for thecoalition.com. I basically just do videos and video games.
I was looking at that website. I don't even remember if it was because of you or not, but it's like half video games, half hip-hop.
Yeah, I stick to the video games. I know nothing about
Is that why it's coalition with a K? Or is
yeah,
that
it's
the hip hop.
cool in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You got a rapper down there in Australia now, Iggy. Okay. Anyway, so obviously this is our first show after. Well, today was the last day of E3, right? Or was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday for me.
So anyway, so we're going to talk about the conferences and all that good stuff in a while, but we want to get a few things out of the way first from the last couple days. So first off, they touched on this very briefly, I believe, after the Microsoft event, but Crystal Dynamics is going to be having 2 Tomb Raider games, besides the Rise of the Tomb Raider, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I want to call it Rise of the Planet of the Tomb Raider, but besides that, they're having a sequel to Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, and it's called Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. And it's a twin-stick shooter kind of in the same vein as Smash TV or Black Ops Zombies, that sort of thing. It's going to be on Xbox One, PS4, and PC, and it's going to have online co-op ready, which is very cool. I didn't play the first one. Did either of you, or any of you?
Did not.
No.
I thought about downloading it, I think, when they ported it to iOS.
Oh, I didn't even know it came to iOS.
I think it did. Like, that's kind of all that was coming to iOS for a while was twin-stick shooters, and anyway.
Yeah, I just downloaded, it was one of the free games with gold for Xbox One, Halo Spartan Assault. I'm not really feeling it so far. I don't know. It's like they tried to take...
It's a strategy game, right?
No, it's a twin-stick shooter.
Oh.
Halo Wars was a strategy game, but they tried to take like all of the controls from the first-person shooter Halos and put them onto a twin-stick shooter, so like every button's the same. It's very strange, and I don't know. Maybe if I play it for a little more, I'll like it more. But anyway, other piece of news which I thought was interesting. So I'm assuming he's Swedish. Stig Asmussen.
Got it.
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
Swedish.
Yeah. He was formerly with Sony Santa Monica working God of War. He's now joined Respawn Entertainment, which I think is it's a very different sort of game, but I guess he's probably going to be in sort of a director role, because that's what he was on God of War. I had never even heard of the director of the first Titanfall before, so it seems like they kind of were all working under Jason West, or Vince Zampella, excuse me, by the time they were left. And last bit, have you guys played Payday 2, any of you?
I haven't played any of the games.
Played the original, but not Payday 2.
Yeah, so I played Payday 2 a little bit, and I wasn't crazy about it, but now it's going to be coming to PS4 and Xbox One. And this might actually help it, because my main problem with Payday 2 when I was playing it was that the graphics were really, really, really bad. Like, to the point where you couldn't tell what some stuff was supposed to be, because there was so much... there were so many jaggies. There was, like, no anti-aliasing on the game.
You're so shallow.
Yeah, I know. All I care about are the pixels, Michael. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not going to get this, and we'll talk more about Cops and Robbers in a little bit, because this is an E3 episode. But now, I just want to jump right in. Microsoft's press conference was on Monday. and so were a bunch of other ones. We're going to talk about them first, what they managed to do, and if you want to read recaps, you can read our recaps and kind of a review of each press conference on invisiblegamer.net right now. We did it for all 4 of the press conferences plus Nintendo's digital event, or whatever you want to call it. It was basically a press conference just
I'll
without...
just call it all 5 of the press conferences.
Yeah, without the awkward silence from the press, which you usually get for a little bit.
No, they just manufactured press and made them ask about Mother 3 and Star Fox.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then they blasted them.
Yeah, that was very... Oh god, that was weird. That whole robot chicken thing was just...
That was great.
That was
just came out of nowhere.
It was a definite Nintendo sort of thing to do.
I liked it, but, it made me sad. The Mother 3.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just want everybody else to get to play that game and not just like me and a handful of other people. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's like now that Earthbound's on the Wii U eShop, I imagine a lot of people are playing that. I still haven't downloaded it. That's mostly just because I'm not into JRPGs that much besides Chrono Trigger. But anyway, let's jump right in. I have our recap now just to kind of run us through what happened. Obviously, last year at the E3, Microsoft kind of shat its pants. It had a really bad show, mostly because they just didn't address what the big elephant in the room, and Don Matrick embarrassed pretty much the entire company with his showing there. But this year, Phil Spencer, head of Xbox Now, a new position, said that they would only talk about games during the show, and they really only talked about games. They never mentioned the Kinect once. Even when talking about games that are Kinect only, he never mentions the Kinect. But anyway,
there were Kinect only? Because I watched the whole thing and I just didn't.
They mentioned Dance Central.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but they didn't actually mention that the Kinect is part of it, which is weird.
Exactly. And it's like it's a given since like those have always been Kinect only games, and But I thought that was very interesting. But anyway, so first off, this surprised me. I know some people can go either way on this series or whatever, but so they showed off Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Excuse me, I said Advanced Warfighter. That's a Ghost Recon game. Advanced Warfare. The title's terrible, but they showed off the game, and I was kind of surprised with the engine, at least. This game looks good, and the last couple Call of Duties, it's kind of they've been tailing behind, especially in comparison to Battlefield. Obviously, the Frostbite 3 engine brought it with Battlefield 4, and we'll talk about that more later. But I was, kind of surprised that it was gameplay when they showed some of the facial animations are really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey wasn't in this gameplay that they showed, but it looked. It looked like Call of Duty, but it looked like something maybe a little bit more future-y, if you're into that sort of thing.
I think the only thing I remember from it, because I'm not into these games, but I remember some kind of like weird like satellite in like just out of Earth orbit or something, like up in space. Is that? Are we thinking about the same? That was in that game, right? In that trailer. It was just maybe a cinematic.
Well, they had a scene like that in the last game. That was in Ghosts.
But that's just like a cinematic, or do you like play?
I don't know. All the stuff they showed at the E3 show, I thought was gameplay. They showed a trailer before. It's possible. The main thing I remember from this E3 gameplay is they had this item at one point. It was like a floating drone thing that stops in front of someone and then explodes.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
But the weapons still seem pretty basic.
Except they did have like a laser. Like, this is revolutionary for Call of Duty, but they had like this shield that popped up that was like glass, and then he was firing through the shields with this laser, but other people couldn't shoot him with bullets, and it's like that could add something, like some sort of tiered combat
that a resistance thing? Didn't they have that resistance? I'm pretty sure, at least in that crappy game Burning Skies, they definitely had that shield that you can shoot through sort of thing.
Yeah.
This was the trailer, right, where the guy like got his arm stuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They showed like a kind of little jet jumper thing, sort of like they had in Halo 4, where if you're falling, you can kind of like stop yourself right before you hit the ground, and there's double jumping and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it got me more excited than anything Ghost did. Black Ops 2, I thought would be more futuristic, and it really wasn't, especially since a lot of it took place in the 80s. But Yeah.
Definitely futuristic.
Oh yeah,
In the
well
80s.
the '80s idea. It's like
Right.
Rocky 3, that idea of the future.
Mhm.
And then they showed off Forza Horizon 2. I knew.
Forza.
What were you gonna say?
Forza. It's
Forza.
Italian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wish that Joan was on because he's really big on Forza Horizon.
Mhm.
But it's gonna have 1080p visuals, which unfortunately is now a point that they have to mention on an Xbox One game because it hasn't really been a common thing. But what I think is kind of cool, and I think this is an idea that's kind of it's one of the things that's kind of defining new gen or next gen or whatever you want to call it at this point. The Drivatar system, your Drivatar. I hate saying that, but it's what it's called. The Drivatar, the avatar that you have in Forza, Forza Motorsport 5, that would, gather information like about how you raced and everything. That'll just transfer right into Forza Horizon 2. So when you start off, it's going to be right there. Similar idea with how like MLB 14, your season and everything will go right into MLB 15. So cool idea, I guess. They showed
Yeah.
off Evolve. Are any of you interested in Evolve at all?
I'm interested in Evolve, but I'm cautious at the same time.
It's one of those games to me. Like they haven't talked about the campaign at all, and it's one of those games that seems like it'd be fun for a day, and then I'd be like, okay, is that all the game has?
Yeah. They're showing more variety each time, like especially with like the giant monster, like how there's different ways to evolve, which might change it up a bit, but no, they need to show more.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they have a campaign like they say they do. If it's just going to be something like how with Left 4 Dead, it's basically just the co-op, but you're with AI, or how they would work that in. Because I don't know. I'm not. I like. I honestly wasn't that crazy about Left 4 Dead. I know a lot of people really love that game, but I don't know. I didn't really like the way things moved and everything, but visually
Yeah, I
this
mean,
game's pretty stunning.
I'm looking forward to playing it, just because I played a ton of both Left 4 Dead games. So,
Did you
but
play them
it's
with
not.
friends?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
actually, right around the time when I first met my wife and her best friend, I was living in my friend's house for a bit, and I had all my stuff in the living room, including my, like giant TV,
Mhm.
and he had just bought a TV as well. So we basically had these like 50-inch TVs back to back, and like on one side of the room, two people were playing, and then on the other side of the room, two people were playing. So those were good memories of a kind of rough time in my life. So.
And then they showed off what I thought, at least at as far as like actual gameplay goes, Assassin's Creed Unity. And this is another one that I was kind of like, well, Black Flag was amazing, but now they're not going to have the ships or anything anymore. But this demo was really impressive. It showed off these huge crowds, which got even bigger when they showed off another gameplay trailer later in the day. Michael, did you play? You really liked 3. Did you play 4 yet?
Yeah, I've played probably 10, 12, 15 hours of Black Flag. Every time I see gameplay demos of Assassin's Creed, I mean, even back to the beginning of the series, they always show these like huge crowds, and then when you get the actual game, it's like significantly pared back. And I'm not saying that this time it's going to be pared back, because it seems like they were using pretty legitimate in-game footage. But I was actually thinking, like, yeah, the crowds look great, but like, is it going to be a slog to get through them? Is it going to sort of like slow down the pace of like on-foot movement? So,
well,
I don't know.
The way I heard them described is watching a little dev diary. They said you can have 5,000 people on screen at once, and since they're giving an actual number, I tend to err on the side of believing them that you are going to be able to do that. But basically, like, they all think kind of individually, so that if you were to like fire a gun up in the air or something, you can get them all to run in one direction or something to get out of the way.
Is that 5,000 people on the screen, like with a locked frame rate of 30 or 60 or something like that?
I assume it's probably locked at 30. It's always been 30. But yeah.
Cool.
I guess that's what happens when you don't develop for current and next gen with a game anymore.
Right.
Yeah, because Black Flag, like, you had to show people those comparison videos, and even then, it's like, well, why would I buy an Xbox One or PS4 to get that little difference because it really doesn't look that much better.
Yeah, on that piece that I wrote about not upgrading to the next gen yet, I captured a screenshot from the Wii U version and posted it on the story just to make a point. Like, I mean, obviously a screenshot can hide things a lot better than a video, but I just posted that to make a point that, like, you don't know if this is next gen or current gen because it looks great on either. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is a really good looking game, although it still has that weird Assassin's Creed trope. All their games look like the characters are smeared in Vaseline, and I don't understand why they do that. They're all so shiny.
Their
Yeah.
skin is all, you know.
Not as bad as Doom 3, though, and the first Far Cry, if anybody remembers.
The thing about Far Cry 3 I remember is just that everyone looked like they were glowing, like something. They had all had like an aura, and I don't really understand what it was. Like their hands didn't interact with objects, like the way light bounced off it didn't look right, and it looks like they kind of fixed that with 4. It's not quite as extreme, at least. The other thing, though, with Black Flag, it had a very I don't want to say fantastical, but it was kind of a yeah, it's the pirates and there's some characters you know, but basically we're just going to kind of make our own story. And with 3, they tried to add in all these historical elements, and I thought it didn't work very well. But with this one, I wonder if they think people know enough specifics about the French Revolution where they're going to try to add in a lot of historical events, or they're just going to kind of let people have fun with it.
Well, I feel like it's exciting for them that they can finally do, you know, something French.
Yeah.
But I don't think that a lot of the audience is going to know or care. I mean, I think it's the same. Honestly, I think most of the people that played Assassin's Creed 3 don't know half of the events in that game enough to tell whether people should have been there or not. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think it matters all that much. I think I think they're just having fun.
I really like the architecture, though, so far that they showed, the buildings and stuff.
21 hours, sorry, of Black Flag.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even know how long I played it because I reviewed that game, but I played it a lot. I didn't play too much of the multiplayer for that review, but the campaign, it felt a lot short. I don't think it was shorter, but it felt a lot shorter than Assassin's Creed 3 just because it picks up so much quicker, where AC3 was like 10 hours before you get your hood. But yeah, so we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the Ubisoft stuff. But after that, it was what is one of my favorite looking games of the show, Sunset Overdrive, which is the first non-PlayStation game. Huh?
Did you skip the crew?
Did they show that at the Xbox show?
I think so. Maybe that was at the Ubisoft show.
I think that was Ubisoft, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I thought I covered everything. But so Insomniac, of course, their last game was Fuse, which was kind of given a no one cares by press, and sales figures kind of matched that up. But Sunset Overdrive, I think it got first shown at I think this got shown at the console reveal last year. It may have been. It might have been E3. It might have been. You know what? Quantum Break was during the console reveal.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is kind of the story's kind of a little bit zanier version of DMC Devil May Cry's story about like energy drinks and stuff. But basically, these people OD on energy drinks and turn into these monsters of various shapes and sizes, and you grind rails and shoot crazy weapons at them, and it's colorful and it looks awesome.
Yeah,
I love that trailer. Like the opening trailer where it's just all gritty military shooting down
like,
terrorists.
Yeah, Gabe and I were talking about that a little bit, how, you know, they sort of tried to trick you into thinking you were getting another generic military shooter. And I was telling him, like, I could tell from the beginning that that's not what it was, just because the face on the soldier that was, like, I don't know, behind a wall or whatever, cowering, was like it was a little bit exaggerated, but I do think I did like the concept. I thought it was pretty cool.
I think I was trying to type something, so I saw it like out of the corner of my eye right before like got into it, and so I think I typed like, what is this, Battlefield or something they're showing here, and then
that's what you typed.
God, I'm so happy it isn't. And then I love the guy talking to you, like who the main character is going to be, and it's like, no, it's you.
Yeah, it looks like Tony Hawk style, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be really big into the Tony Hawk games back in like middle and high school, I guess, and they kind of got burnt out on them for sure because they made so many of them. But I like that this has that aspect too, because I still like to revisit those games. They're fun to just mess around with. And
Yeah, especially the old ones.
yeah, exactly.
And the one thing I saw in some previews of this was people think it might be too fast with the combat and stuff, and you can kind of tell. They said they're going to make it kind of lenient on you, but with the grinding and stuff, it might just be like a little bit too chaotic. And then you add in that there's going to be 8-player co-op, which would be crazy.
Yeah, it seems like the gameplay might be like a lot of lock-on when you're going so fast and stuff. Where
So there's just like a really generous aim assist, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So some people might be bored by that, but if it's very action-based and fun, I think that'll take precedent. At least for me, if it was fun, I wouldn't be as concerned with, aim assist.
I'm a little bit surprised. I thought that this was going to be like an open world kind of online, nothing like The Division, but that sort of idea when they first showed it, because they showed like a ton of people running around like that. Now I guess it's going to be single player and then have 8-player co-op, which personally I'm more of a fan of.
Yeah, just separating those two instead of There's too many MMOs out anyway.
Yeah, there are, and none of them are doing that well, so it's kind of a good idea, I think. And then after that, we got new DLC for Dead Rising 3, which the name of it is Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition Plus Alpha.
Best name ever.
They don't care anymore. They just don't care.
They do not care. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, they're obviously making fun of themselves for what they do with Street Fighter already.
Yeah. The graphic with the name is awesome, just because it's like every font that they've ever used for like a Street Fighter game, just on top of everything. It's ridiculous.
So after that, we got the little bit of Dance Central 3. I guess it's called, Dance Central Spotlight. It's going to be a digital-only title, and that's really all we know. And then Fable Legends, which was kind of my low point for this conference. I don't know. Fable's something I've never been crazy about, but this game just looks really lame to me. I don't know. Michael, you're more into it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, I think it looks cool, but I don't really have, like I mentioned to you, I've never actually finished one of those games. It's just, the humor and the attitude and the sort of like not, should I put this? They're kind of generic character, like character and monster designs, but they're also, I don't know, it just kind of gives me like a early 90s PC game vibe, which is like cool to me, but just the design. But take it or leave it. I probably won't ever play it.
Yeah, I think they said it might actually be free to play, and it's going to be coming out in seasons, which is something I'm not sure is a good idea.
Does anybody here like Fable?
I was really big on Fable 2 and 3, and not as much TLC because I played 2 and 3 before, so I think that's kind of where you sit on the series. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they are, after Journey, I think they are just cashing in on a dead franchise that Peter Molyneux's just left. So
I wish they'd let Ryan
so I
downloaded
downloaded Fable 3 like, I don't know, 2 years ago when it was free by mistake or something like that.
Yeah.
But I never played it. And I still have it. Should I bother?
It's not an in-depth game. It's not an interesting game, but it's a game that's fun to waste time to, and
I see.
You can just sit down and just shoot things, and it's all auto lock on. Then you get some
combat's like ridiculously easy.
Yeah, and they've turned this new one into a third-person shooter for some reason.
I mean, there was another game. Oh God, what was it? There was another game during the conference that had the same asymmetric, like 4 people doing one thing and then one person doing something else, but I can't remember what it was. Maybe I'll get my memory jogged when we're going through this. So then they kind of were a bit of a cock tease, I guess, with the next game. So Project Spark, which they showed off before, is going to have Conquer in it.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure why, but I thought this game was out already. Did anyone else?
I think it is out already. Is it developed by Rare?
It's in beta.
No, it's not. It's not Rare. It's a different studio.
Oh well, What the heck is Conquer in that trailer for? I just assumed it was Rare developing it, and Conquer was like just there to promo it.
I mean, Microsoft owns Rare outright now, so
yeah. So they can do whatever they want with it.
The weird thing, I was thinking about this, and it's strange because I've looked. I think they were bought out in 2000. I want to say 2002, like right after right after Star Fox Adventures came out, because they still made that on the GameCube. But in I want to say 2008, they made a DS game for Viva Pinata, which is not something you'd think Microsoft would have them do. So, like, a Microsoft-owned studio
Yeah,
made a DS game.
they also made Game Boy Advance games after that. They made Banjo-Kazooie, Grunty's Revenge for GBA, and Saberwolf, and I think Banjo Pilot as well.
That late? This
Yeah.
was like 2008.
Yeah, 2008 Game Boy Advance games. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just trying to confuse you.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm just saying that they continued making portable games after for Nintendo after Microsoft bought them.
Yeah, it's a weird decision. And even then, like, someone, I don't remember who it was, but a journalist claimed he saw like a Halo up and running on the DS, and some footage leaked of that showing.
Yeah, wasn't it one of the IGN guys? It was Matt Casamassina, right?
It might have been. It was either him or Goldstein. I don't remember which.
Yeah.
But yeah, this. Like I saw the footage. It was Zanzibar from Halo 2 running on a DS, just kind of a tech demo. It would have been cool if they had come out with that. And now, of course, there's no chance Microsoft ever makes a handheld system. But
well, they did. They made that Halo Twin Stick shooter for
a tablet.
Yeah.
But that's not. Like a dedicated gaming device. My screen is going crazy because I hate this. Oh God, I hate this computer. So. After that, this one looks pretty cool. They showed off Ori and the Blind Forest. It reminded me of Child of Light a little bit, but it's like a 2D, cartoony, side-scrolling platformer. It looks like you have a little companion.
Yeah, they look cool.
Was that by the Limbo guys?
No. We'll get to that in a bit.
Good one.
Yeah, so they had an indie reel in a bit where they dealt with all those, but then kind of weird. I thought to be leading with this as like the big thing of your show, but they showed off the Master Chief Collection. I guess it's cool the amount of content you get with it. So this was kind of leaked a couple weeks ago from Engadget anyway, but it's Halo the Master Chief Collection. It comes with Halos 1, 2, 3, and 4. Every map ever released for those games.
100 maps.
Over 100 maps. They're all going to be in 60 FPS and 1080p, but it will be the original versions of their multiplayer, which is a big deal because Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary was really, the multiplayer part was just maps to be used for Halo Reach. Like you could import them into Halo Reach or you could use them separately, but you'd be playing Halo Reach. This is going to be the original versions of the game, which means the weapons will be the same. You'll get the dual wielding submachine guns in Halo 2, which I think was the only game to have that. I don't think you could dual wield those in 3. But anyway, it looks pretty. I'm really excited about it. But the big deal, and this is something I think is kind of unprecedented, you'll be able to get access in holiday this year for Halo 5 Guardians beta, a game that doesn't come out till fall of 2015. So I don't know how a beta can run that long.
Nothing of.
I don't know. I thought the big deal was that they're letting you. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, you go.
I was just saying I thought that the big deal about it was that people would finally get to play Halo 2 multiplayer again, since that was like the big crying shame when they finally shut those servers down. I also think it's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I also think it's really great that they're letting you basically pick whatever levels from whatever games and play them in like. Make a playlist basically and play them whatever order you want. That's pretty cool to me. I haven't, like I said to you before, I haven't finished a Halo since Halo 3, but I would consider getting an Xbox One to play this collection, especially because they are giving you the option to view like the original graphics versus, I guess at the press of a button, just switch back and forth between.
Yeah, and they did that on Combat Evolved Anniversary too. It was cool.
I love when games do that.
Yeah, and the original game still it's very playable, but like you can see the difference. It seems like this will maybe be even a more touched up version because Combat Evolved Anniversary didn't look nearly as good as the Halo games that were coming out like developed for the 360.
Right.
It was still kind of rough. But I think the really cool thing and the reason I'm really interested in this is the digital series that they were talking about, Halo Nightfall, will ship, the full season will ship on every disc. Which,
I guess I missed that.
yeah, so this is, I think this is the show that's being produced by Steven Spielberg.
Ridley Scott, right?
I think he has a hand in it, or he has a hand in something else. They've been talking with him too. He was in talks, I believe, also for the movie as well. The movie that's probably never coming now. And then the director that they talked to as well for the canceled movie, besides Peter Jackson, was Neil Blomkamp, which I would have loved, because I think he's a really talented director, even though Elysium wasn't that good. So.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah. Jodie Foster was so terrible in that movie. And so then, like every conference now, you need your indie reel because they can't get too much time to show off indie games. So besides, like we said, the game from Playdead, the studio behind Limbo, we got to look at Mighty Number 9, Phoenix Rage, Aztaz, Night Squad, Threes, which can be snapped while you're playing other games, which I think is a really weird thing. Earthlock, and then Cuphead, which was the one that I think really got a lot of people talking. It looked like Animaniacs to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
I guess that's been announced before, though, and it's also coming to PC. But
yeah, that's the thing with indie games. They always come to PC and then maybe one or two other consoles.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They mentioned, I think it was either during the conference or afterwards, they said, this is the first time you can play Halo 1 multiplayer online. And I was like, no, it isn't. You could do that on PC. Certain Affinity made that. I think they made that port in like 2003. You could play online.
Yeah, I played quite a bit of that on PC.
Yeah, before Xbox Live was even around. But I think that's kind of a sinful way to play Halo, but that's just me.
Yeah, but they added Banshee to the multiplayer, and you couldn't do that on the first one, right? On the Xbox version. Those are the flying.
Yeah, I don't know, because that map, Blood Gulch, was in other games, and I remember flying a Banshee in Blood Gulch, but it might have been in Halo 2.
Yeah, I think it was. I think for the first Halo, you could only do that on the PC, which is like why we were all playing on PC for a bit.
Mm-hmm. So then, I mean, I could tell as soon as she started speaking. I was a little curious before, but then they showed off the next Lara Croft Tomb Raider game, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Not crazy about that title. But they showed off a CG trailer. Camille Luddington's back as the voice. It looked like The Last of Us to me. Later on in The Last of Us when Ellie's hunting for stuff.
I feel like a lot of people are going for The Last of Us vibe with stuff now. Or, not everyone, but I feel like I've noticed it in little bits here and there after the success of that game.
Mm-hmm. And it's the thing, every single time you see a game like this, they say, yeah, we're really inspired by that book, Cormac McCarthy's The Road. I know what that book is. Every single game coming out now seems to be trying to go for that vibe of dark, depressing post-apocalypse.
And they're all doing it wrong.
You think?
That's just me. Yep. I've read the book multiple times.
I don't like Cormac McCarthy. And it's not anything about his story. It's his affectation to not put punctuation or apostrophes. It really bothers me.
He doesn't care though. So you know.
He doesn't care about me specifically, or he doesn't care about writing.
He doesn't care if you like him.
Yeah, he'll be dead soon anyway.
Yeah, my problem with Rise of the Tomb Raider was it looks like they changed Laura's face again.
Mm-hmm.
It just they already tweaked it for the definitive edition.
Yeah.
Which
that
is
much different to me.
Completely unnecessary. And then this trailer, I don't know, she looked like she had collagen implants, and not in her lips, but in her cheeks. They just made her plumper, and I don't know why. Anyway.
Well, maybe she's been able to eat since the last game or something.
Could be. I'll play it. I'm looking forward to it. I'll play it.
Although she's eating rabbits and stuff, she's hunting in the trailer, she's not going to be getting too much food because. Yeah, rabbit starvation. Google it. So then they showed off some multi-platform stuff. We got The Witcher 3, which still, I know Michael's not a big Witcher guy. To me, this looks fantastic. Just the breadth of the environments and stuff like that. And CD Projekt Red's really been on a roll lately. And then The Division, we got some new gameplay for the first time since last E3, which is kind of depressing to me. But it still looks good. This wasn't quite as mind-blowing as when they showed it off last year, but nothing really was. Then came the first big surprise of the show, Phantom Dust. There's going to be a remake of Phantom Dust. It's not a sequel, but it's going to be a remake of the whole game. I didn't play it on the original Xbox, but my understanding is it's like kind of like if you take that game, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and make it 3D. You're like card battling, but it's in real time. Yeah, so. And then my favorite game, I think, that they showed off that they hadn't shown before, Scalebound. They didn't show gameplay from it, but I really like this idea. It seems like it's kind of a co-op monster slaying thing with a dude who looks a lot like Dante, which makes sense since Hideki Kamiya worked on, or Kamiya, excuse me, worked on Devil May Cry. But I don't know. I guess we have to wait to see gameplay from this, but I also really like the box art that they showed. He has a bow, which isn't at all tropey or trite, but...
That was so 2012.
God, there were so... No, it was last year. That's when all the...
last year?
No, yeah, it was 2012. It was the last E3 I went to.
Oh,
right.
I mean...
Crisis 3
those games came out then.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, we had Crisis 3, Tomb Raider, Splinter Cell Blacklist even had a crossbow. Far Cry 3 was the end of 2012, I guess. And then The Last of Us, there were tons of them. So after that, we got this was hinted very strongly, Crackdown. I don't know if it's a reboot or if that's just a working title, but they showed a cinematic trailer. I've never cared about Crackdown. I still don't.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of, I don't know. The first one was okay. The second one was not nearly as good, and then I don't know. It seems like something that really showed off the power of the 360 at the time, but maybe not now so much.
It was a colourful CG trailer, which doesn't indicate anything.
Exactly.
So,
I've kind of gotten to the point where if I see a trailer for your game and it's just CG, unless it's showing like a really cool universe or something, I'm like, I don't care. Show me what the game actually looks like. This means nothing to me anymore. So what were your favorite parts of this press conference? Or anything that they've shown?
seeing Hideki Kamiya walk on stage and not swear at everyone.
Do you eat shit? God,
I love that guy.
How can you?
So like a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, I know.
God, they're doing so many games there. Like, I'm trying to think.
Like 3?
No, I mean they've come out like very quick to each other. Like, so we got Revengeance, and then a couple months later, Wonderful 101. Oh, excuse me, no, it was Revengeance, and then also the sequel to Mad World. What was that game called?
That game I didn't know that was a sequel.
Yeah, it was like a budget game. It was like $40.
Oh.
And now I can't remember the name of it.
But, what system was it on?
360 and PS3. It wasn't on Wii. It wasn't on Wii or Wii U.
Let's just say fuck all exclusive assholes, which I think is the last tweet of his that I saw.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I still coming through? By the way, I'm kind of hung up here.
Are you talking about Anarchy Reigns?
Yeah, it was Anarchy Reigns.
Yeah, I didn't know that was the sequel. That was in 2012, though.
Was that 2012? No. Was it really?
According to Wikipedia.
Maybe in Japan it was.
2012.
Yeah. That was.
Okay, using Wikipedia.
Yeah, God, my internet is so slow right now. It's terrible. But yeah, so that was the first show. I think people tended to like it. I thought it was pretty good. It was way better than last year's, but it wasn't anything like too special to me. Then EA came on, and I just want to talk more casually about them because they showed a lot of stuff, but EA's show I thought was horrible this year.
It was a lot of sports, and I just tuned off a bit because there was no surprises in that conference. It was just, here are a platter of sports game annually that you already knew you were getting, so it's like, okay, it's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
I may be biased, but I think our games are pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's
shut up.
That's the part I remember from it, and that's it. Wishing that the PlayStation conference was at that time so I could actually watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God. So the thing about that conference though is they showed off like so many games that should not. That it's like this is something you show at GDC or something. You don't show like a barely functioning racing game that like one of your premier developers are making at E3 and say like, oh yeah, we don't have a name for it. It's an action sports game. Here the world's barely done, and then here we'll show you a little environment from Star Wars Battlefront, which we showed off we announced last at E3, and we'll show off maybe something that might be in Mirror's Edge, which we also announced last E3. The only thing that I liked at their show that I really liked was their Dragon Age stuff, and even Battlefield Hardline. It was like, I don't think this idea is coming together, guys. This just looks like Battlefield with a skin. It doesn't look like a real cops and robbers sort of game.
Well, they should have had some gameplay from Mirror's Edge. That would have been nice.
Yeah, I mean they showed what they said was like concept gameplay.
Yeah, concept. Yeah, it was like pictures that looked like it was taken from gameplay, right? But then it wasn't actually.
It's like it can't. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe she'll be, a 43-year-old old man or something in this one. She won't actually, that's not very old, but thought about that. I'm talking. It's very late. Anyway, so this show, I don't know. I'm not excited. UFC. Am I the only one who thought that game looked terrible? Like looked terrible when they showed off?
Does anybody here?
I just tuned out. Yeah, I didn't even really watch it that much.
The only reason I tuned in was for Mass Effect, which I didn't really get. So that's all I have to say about the EA show in its entirety.
It was like, here's a Krogan. There's a Krogan, so that's in the game. We've listened to your ideas. Because design by committee is always great. You'll find out more eventually. But yeah, I thought Dragon Age looked really, really good. They showed off I guess it was in-engine. It was a trailer, and I was like, this does not look as good as like The Witcher or the other games that they've shown. And then I was like, oh, okay, it's in-engine.
That means it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I was like, then they showed off the gameplay, and I'm like, okay, this looks pretty good. And I did not like Dragon Age too much at all. I think I'm kind of in the majority there. A lot of people didn't like that game. But this looks like they're taking ideas to heart. And there's going to be some sort of turn-based battle system you can use if you don't want to play in real time, kind of like the VAT system, which could be cool for people, I guess, although I'll probably just play it in real time because I'm not a nerd, So then we got Ubisoft, who seem to be the people that people look at E3 because they always show off a big unannounced blockbuster game. This year, not so much. We'll get to that at the end. So Aisha Tyler's hosting again. I wish she would stop hosting because she's okay, but she's not right for this, and she makes me cringe so much with some of the things she says. So they showed off Far Cry 4, but at this show they just showed a CG trailer. I guess it was CG. It was like the first 5 minutes of the game, but it was all obviously
that was actual gameplay. Except it wasn't actual gameplay. It was the part before they tell you how to walk and how to look around.
You use the left stick because you've never played a video game before.
Yeah, it was just it probably was in engine. It probably was not pre-rendered, but that wouldn't have been a part where you're doing anything at all.
Right.
So.
Exactly. But yeah, this game.
But they killed a monkey.
Yeah, that's actually goes back to the DLC for Far Cry 3, where a character who's actually in Far Cry 4, Herc, and we'll get to that later. He would strap C4 to monkeys and have you send the monkeys off to blow people up.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, so he's the co-op partner in this.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So besides that, they showed off some fitness game called Shape Up, which
Thought it looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah. For
fine.
people who want a fitness game, it looks like I kind of like that they're going with the kind of 16 or 8-bit kind of graphical style in a fitness game. It seems like they're trying to. This will be the fitness game that gamers might actually buy.
Were we looking at the same game? Because I don't remember an 8-bit style. I remember them showing like a scanned like representation of you like playing against yourself.
Well, they showed that
very Guitar Hero-y.
Well, they showed that also, but the graphics and like the UI and stuff was kind of 8-bitty.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But this was the second year in a row that Ubisoft had Eye of the Tiger in a press conference. I'm not sure if they're going for the hat trick next year, but
didn't they play Eye of the Tiger twice? This time?
Well, they played it this year. I don't know if they played it twice.
No,
Last year,
because they showed it in the first, like when he was demoing it, and then didn't they do it again when the one guy was doing push-ups with the other guy? Maybe not.
I don't know. The one guy was the guy from the Ubi blog, Gary
Right,
Steinman. He
right,
used to
right.
be in PlayStation Magazine stuff. But anyway, last year they showed it with Rayman Legends because that music track, that's one of the best parts of that game. But anyway, moving on a little bit, then they showed off Just Dance 2015 with Just Dance Now, this smartphone app, and it looks like Just Dance. Moving on. And then we got, this was disappointing for me, just because of how these games were introduced last year, but we only got like CG trailers of The Division and The Crew. With The Division, and this is actually kind of a trend, in 2012, Watch Dogs was introduced with a cold open gameplay footage. Then 2013, we just got a CG trailer at the conference. The Division 2013, cold open gameplay footage. This year, at least at their show, we only got a CG trailer, and the crew was the same way. So I don't know that these games obviously look good, and they've shown gameplay of them. We've seen quite a bit. I wonder why they wouldn't just want to show more instead of just showing us a kind of overdone play a nursery rhyme over footage of your world falling apart sort of thing. Are you guys interested in either of these games?
I am. I'm looking forward to The Division, but I just don't really have anything to say about their approach.
Yeah, Ubisoft aren't good at marketing, as we saw from Watch Dogs, where they showed the most fantastic gameplay in 2012 and ruined all our hopes for that in 2014.
I mean,
well,
I think it's hard to argue that.
So many.
I think it's hard to argue that Ubisoft is probably like the most well-rounded third-party developer right now, and they're making excellent software across every platform that they publish on. Even if the games like don't come together the way everybody wants them to, like I still think they make really, really high-quality products. So I just don't really even pay attention to their like pre-release stuff anymore. I just wait till the game comes out, and I know like based on their reputation that their games are going to be good. Typically.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the games that aren't hyped all to hell, like Watch Dogs or like The Division's obviously going to be, are usually the ones where it's actually worthwhile to look at some of that stuff. Like I was super excited last year for Splinter Cell Blacklist, and we saw a ton of gameplay from that game before it came out. Kind of went under the radar, but they showed like just a lot of just game, just straight like here's how to play it this way, and here's how to play it this way, and and it was all like actual useful information for the game, because they realized they were kind of in a niche audience. I expect them to do something similar with the game they showed at the end, but after this, this was the first time I think my jaw dropped, because I thought the trailer was going to be completely CG, but we saw another look at Assassin's Creed Unity, where they eventually show this huge crowd of about 5,000 people, like we said, who are all on the ground, and then it pulls back and you're playing. And I thought that was just going to be the end, and it was going to be just a short little CG look at the game, but this looks like a big step up in fidelity over Assassin's Creed 4.
I suddenly can't type in the group chat, but I was just going to say I think that it was probably more like 300 or 400 people, realistically.
You think?
Yeah.
I'm going to look at it again.
It was a lot. It was definitely a lot. It was an impressive number,
Yeah.
but I don't think that it was like half of the Battle of Helm's Deep.
The thing that they talked about, though, they're going to get rid of the way that they've done tailing missions, and I'm so happy about that because the tailing missions in Assassin's Creed have been horrible since day one, and they always make you do them because they need it for the story for some reason. And combat's going to be harder. This I'm kind of two minds of, because I kind of liked just being able to kick so much ass in Assassin's Creed 4, but I guess now counters, there's no such thing as a counter kill, and I think they're getting rid of the kill streaking stuff. So now you're basically just going to have to do a little dance where you counter them and then have to attack back, which is an interesting decision to make you feel weaker, but I guess they wanted the games to be more focused on stealth, which seems to be the other area that they're really kind of rebuilding, because the stealth was okay in 4. It was terrible in 3, but it was better in 4 because they added a couple more elements, the whistling and But I wish that they just take the stealth system from Splinter Cell and put it in Assassin's Creed with crouching and everything, because it just worked.
What does everybody think about the stealth system in Watch Dogs? Or everybody here played it? I know that we talked about this before. I wasn't on.
Play it. Max talked about it, but let's talk about that a little bit. I like it. It has the auto cover thing that they've been using in a couple of their games where you can bounce from cover to cover. It's pretty forgiving. Like, you can kill someone pretty close to someone else and nothing's going to happen. Plus, the slow-mo stuff really helps.
Yeah, my favorite parts of Watch Dogs are like the gang hideout missions because they're really varied, and there's so many ways to like approach many of them. Some of them I feel like you're kind of shoehorned into just go around, knock everybody out until you find the right guy. But for the most part, like I think that they're super varied, and I think that stealth system works really well.
That's one. The gang hideouts, though, that's one thing in like that game where it seemed like they needed to vary it up a little bit, and they're like, all right, we can't make this too easy, so he has to knock that gang leader out who's murdered all those people.
Yeah, it doesn't make it. And like, also, like, it's totally okay to kill everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I murdered every single other person in the gang, but I can't let this gang know what's what until I knock that guy out, too.
I gotta teach him a lesson by not killing him.
Yeah. It's like, this guy's been preying on children. I'm gonna go teach him what it's really like.
That's a pretty good impression of Christian Bale.
Well, he just sounds like Batman in this game to me, so...
Anyway.
But yeah, so you've been playing it. How far into it are you now?
I am still in Act 2 or whatever it is.
That's the longest one.
Yeah, I just found the bunker and finally figured out how to get out of the bunker. And I've been doing gang stuff since then, and just kind of running around and doing all that stuff. So
yeah, I'm trying to think what's the. There's a lot of those investigations. I'm trying to think what's the best one. The weapons cache ones are good. I think it's the.
I've only done like one of those, but I've played for like probably 20 hours at this point.
Well, those basically you get like a cool big mission once you beat all of those.
Okay.
And with that one, I think it's like a shootout. There's the human trafficking one's pretty fun, and then some of them. Make sure you do the burner cell phone ones. Those are really important, and you'll know why.
Okay.
But yeah, so this game has so much stuff to do, and I understand people being angry about the season pass and all of the content that they seem to have picked out and given to retailers and whatnot. I understand that, but there's a ton of stuff to do in this game.
Yeah, I just ignored it all. There's plenty to do without all that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe so later.
Back to AC for a second. They have weird music in all these trailers, but they had a very strange cover of "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" by Tears for Fears in this trailer. I really, really liked it, but I saw a bunch of people on Twitter hated it.
This is not historically accurate.
Yeah, that song's not from the 1880s. But
it's a great song.
Yeah, I love it. That's my favorite band from the 80s, and everyone says that Talking Heads is the best 80s band, but nope.
I don't think everybody says that.
Oh, that seems to be the consensus. When I say Tears for Fears is the best band from the 80s, everyone jumps in and says Talking Heads.
There's a lot of good 80s bands, in my opinion.
So then we got to look, after Shape Up, we got to look at Valiant Hearts, which comes out, what's today's date? The 13th?
Friday the 13th.
So is it Saturday where you're at, Callum?
Yeah, it's 14th right now. I would argue, but yeah, it's different.
Yeah, so this game comes out in just under 2 weeks, and this has me way more interested than Child of Light, just because it's the type of game I like, I guess. So this is using the UbiArt framework engine. I think a lot of people know that already. And this trailer, it's told from the perspective of a dog, and it's pretty great.
That game does look like it'll be great. It's one of those.
When did you say it was out?
June 25th.
Oh.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
That's too soon. I don't know if I can handle it.
Oh yeah. So this one will be out. It won't be on the Wii U, like Child of Light was, but it's going to be on pretty much everything else. I'm not really sure why they made that decision. I guess maybe because they figured.
To punish people that bought Mario Kart 8.
I think it's mainly because Child of Light was harkening back to the kind of SNES era of JRPGs, and they figured that a lot of those people probably owned the new Nintendo system. I don't know what the sales numbers are like though, and that's coming to Vita too now, which kind of makes sense because that game has a lot of JRPG ports. So like Persona's the big one, obviously. So the last thing that they showed, like we said, every year for the past couple of years at least, Ubisoft has shown a big cold open gameplay of a new game. This year, it was only sort of true. Watch Dogs, no one had heard of it. The Division, no one had heard of it. This is the game that I thought was going to be what they were showing for The Division last year. It's called Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Patriots is no more, and this looks to be a multiplayer-focused version of the series. And I am of two minds about it, and there's an editorial I wrote for the site if you want to find out more about that. But Michael, I was surprised. You seem to really like this one.
Yeah, it was sort of funny. I was looking at Jeremy Parish's E3 best of list. It was really close to mine, and Rainbow Six Siege was on it for the exact same reason that it's on my list, which is I can't believe I want to play this game. It just, I don't know. It's partly because they used a bunch of actors to, read like the lines while they were doing the.
Yeah, they did that in the Division.
Yeah,
last year.
But I just really like the concept of like having a core group of friends that you can like trust to sort of like think really, really tactically about how to get into a situation and get a hostage out. And I don't know if that's like the entire game is hostage situations or if it's just one mode. But yeah, it was really kind of thrilling to me, like seeing them like coming into the house from all angles, and the woman who was like sniping from the outside, and I don't know, it was really thrilling to me, and also because it wasn't like in the middle of a battlefield. It was like in a suburban area, which like it's sort of like hyper reality, like you don't typically like see games like that set in those environments, so it's like something that everybody's familiar with is like typically or not typically but mostly people know like suburban areas. So I just thought it was really neat. It was a really neat concept, and I think that they pulled off the reveal really well. Got me into it. I'm looking forward to it.
So I asked the community developer for it, and he said it will have campaign and co-op as well. But I agree with you. I like the idea of having no respawns, very short rounds.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminded me of like a super refined and super advanced version of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, like, in Battlefield, it's always been more of a spectacle of the destruction, at least since Battlefield 3. But in this, it looks like it's actually going to be useful because you're going to be able to do it to pretty much everything, to find new areas and stuff. I'm just hoping that it's not going to be just one building for these maps.
Right.
And then the other thing, and I mentioned this in the editorial, I was reading, they say you're going to be able to play the campaign missions in any order, which makes me think there's not going to be much story there, which is sad to me, given Rainbow Six Patriots. I really like that idea of having, a homegrown terrorism organization, fighting for the poor, and that's going to be kind of, so it's set in America. And you're not just fighting people who are different looking than you anymore, but...
Yeah, I like that the multiplayer, it's kind of, at least it looks a little slower in some ways to me than traditional kind of first-person shooters for the Rainbow Six. It looks, I don't know. I like that.
It's sort of like the difference between Battlefield and Call of Duty, where like in Call of Duty, most people just run out there and start shooting, and they don't really pay attention to like what their teammates are doing. And in Battlefield, like you really have to work together to accomplish like what your objectives. So
yeah, and this is, I think there's another like defensive element here. You just don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, or you'll get shot.
Right.
Obviously, they showed. It'll probably suck to be that guy at the very beginning of that trailer when they go through the floor and they just kill a guy right away because he's just standing there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done now.
Yeah, that just Gabe, what you were saying about the destructible environments, like just the idea that like unless you happen to be in like a super secure room with like extra thick walls or something,
I don't know what that was.
You're constantly like, even when you have a wall, like your back to a wall, like you could still get shot in the back of your head because like somebody could bust a hole in the wall, or I don't know if there was going to be like infrared or whatever, but Yeah, it looks great. I'm looking forward to it.
Mhm.
Color me surprised.
Yeah, so like I said, this didn't have. I didn't think this had the same bite maybe as the ones that they've been showing in the past, just because we sort of knew about Rainbow Six, we just didn't know what it looked like, and this obviously was kind of a just the reboot of a game we already knew about, but obviously it is completely different. So then that night we have the
Hold on,
Sony
how have sales been on that series?
Rainbow Six.
Yeah, do we know?
So they released numbers a little bit less than Splinter Cell. So like Splinter Cell's the most out of the Clancy games, then Rainbow Six, and then Ghost Recon right behind that. But there hasn't been a Rainbow Six game in 6 years at this point, so it's kind of tough to tell. That was before the Call of Duty craze like really exploded. So
yeah, I'm just wondering if they changed up the approach to appeal to like a wider audience that I don't know that isn't typically into those games.
Yeah, I don't know. And like I was one of the people like when I read the thing in Game Informer and they showed it off, I was like, man, this is the Rainbow Six game I've been waiting for, because the others were set in Las Vegas and it was cool and everything, but I don't know. I've never been a huge Rainbow Six guy personally. I was more of a Ghost Recon person. I just like the more slow paced, longer range sort of style of those games compared to Rainbow Six, which is typically a quicker game where you're making a lot of orders and stuff like that. But
there's only one Ghost Recon game that matters.
Which one is that? Shadow Wars?
Yes.
Am I correct? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that game's fun.
It's really good.
It doesn't need Ghost Recon on the name, but it's fun.
No. I also wish that it had aliens, because it's made by the guy who created XCOM. So, but that's okay. That's okay.
That makes sense actually. It's like a very easy XCOM.
It's designed by Julian Gollop, who created Laser Squad, is that the name of the? And an XCOM, the original.
I'm trying to. I thought was that Ubisoft Sofia that did that game though, or Singapore? It was one of those.
All it says is San Francisco, so that's obviously just the parent company address. Anyway.
Then we move on. The biggest show in terms of length of the night, Sony. They had a ton of stuff to show off. First, they start with Destiny, which had like a 343 Guilty Spark looking robot, or Wheatley from Portal in it.
Yes, voiced by Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. And but it looks like they're really not trying to go away from the Halo thing as much as people thought they might.
Me and Seth have been playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's stop for a second. What are your thoughts on that?
Has anybody else, by the way, played the Destiny Alpha here?
I'm going to do it as soon as we're done here, because I just got the code.
Maybe we should all jump on. But the campaign, not the campaign, the shooting segments when you're actually like out in a mission or doing the combat multiplayer or whatever, it feels exactly like Halo. It looks exactly like Halo, even though the environments are different. Like it seems like it's just using a modified version of the same engine they've been using.
So the aiming down sights doesn't change much?
No. It really feels it's just kind of bizarre, because it feels like you're playing Halo on PlayStation and they replaced like the Halo announcer guy with Peter Dinklage. And there's no Cortana. But yeah, I mean, it's got some really cool class-specific powers. I was I forget what they called them, but I was like a mage sort of class.
Who's they're Warlock?
Yeah, I was a
Warlock Hunter, and then there's one other one.
Titan.
Something
like that. Yeah. And Seth was a Titan, right?
Hunter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Seth had just I think like a pulse rifle and then a knife for melee, and then Key and I were just sort of running around. We didn't have a whole lot of time before the podcast started, so we only did one mission, but we were sort of running around trying to kill enemies to level up, because it does, it's also sort of MMO-y, or it's kind of like Borderlands in a way, where everybody levels up and then you get new powers and stuff. But there was like a bunch of enemies in front of us all of a sudden, and I was like, "Hey Seth, watch this!" And I like shot out like 5 plasma blasts at once and like decimated everybody. And he's like, "How did you do that?" And I was like, well, I just pressed L1 and R1. And he was like, wow, I've used L1 and I've used R1, but I've never thought to press both at the same time.
So that's like your special abilities if you press both?
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
is it jarring to go into third person like that and then go back in?
No, not at all,
No.
because it's just like a special power that has like a huge cooldown period. So it's almost like kind of cinematic in a way when you pull it off. So and then like I said, the cooldown is like really extensive, so it doesn't happen constantly. You do go into third person when you're in the sort of the area where you go and find out what the loot you got was, and
that's what it reminded me of Mass Effect.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was saying it reminds me of Halo plus Mass Effect plus whatever else I said. But
Borderlands.
Borderlands, yeah. I'm having fun with it so far. I think I'm like level 6. I haven't played a whole lot just because I didn't get it downloaded till like after midnight last night, and then I don't know. I tried playing the Crucible stuff after I went to bed. After I got in bed, I was trying to play on my Vita. The Vita is fine for PS4 games, but it's just not great for shooters.
Yeah.
So I got just completely walloped. But then I played on my PS4 using the DualShock 4 tonight and was fine. But I still don't like those. I'm just not into it. So I'm really glad that there is a co-op drop in, drop out co-op campaign. And it was kind of neat, because I didn't. Oh Lord, now they're singing. Sorry, I didn't realize that people could jump in at any time. And so I was kind of getting overwhelmed by a horde at one point, and then suddenly 3 people dropped in and came and rescued me, and then they were gone. They went and did their own thing, and it was kind of neat. So
that's cool. So after that, they revealed that there's going to be a white PS4 to correspond with the release of Destiny. We saw new gameplay from The Order 1886, which looked a lot different than what we've seen so far, in that it just looked like a survival horror game. With werewolves.
Those 2 Gears of War rip-off that it looked like before.
With David Cage elements in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I liked the kind of walking around area. And so I kind of liked the setting, kind of creepy stuff, and then they just show this kind of generic looking monster that kind of ruined the whole thing for me. But I don't know. Ready at Dawn, this is kind of their big test since they've done mostly, PSP and Vita. Actually, I think it's just PSP versions of other brands. But the big New York Times story that leaked before was that a new Sony studio is going to announce the first game, and that is called Entwined. It's out right now. It was made by people from CMU, which is in downtown Pittsburgh, and so I think San Jose State. So okay, it looks colorful. I don't really know what else to say about this one.
It was kind of a cool thing, how they...
What was that, Michael?
Did anybody download it?
Not yet.
I have not. How much does it cost?
$10.
$10. I like the visuals. Looked interesting.
Yeah. It looked. I thought it was like an unfinished Swan type thing when I first saw it. So
yeah.
Awesome. And that was so cool. I love it when they do stuff like that. They're like, "Oh, released. Yeah, it's out now."
Yeah.
That's the best. Dude.
That was someone said that game I think went up. People saw trophies for it go up, and they're like, "This game hasn't even been announced yet." There's some website that catalogs the back end stuff on the PSN. And then we saw Little Big Planet 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Michael
gameplay.
I enjoyed the first one, but the second one I was extremely bored with by that time. The single player in the first game was really fun. The multiplayer was fun. For some reason, the second game, I just the whole campaign was just like a tech demo. I felt like it was every story part you played was just here's how you use this new feature, but none of them were really that great.
Yeah, besides the really bad platforming physics, I can't stand how like everything you do is like knocking down a sticker or here's a pile of bubbles to pick up so that you can make another sticker. I don't know. I just don't like the games.
Yeah, the thing about them, I mean, that's good is that it just kind of shows the creativity of the community, but that's the sort of thing where you wait for that game to be out for a while before you pick it up.
Yeah, and even when you'll find a gem that someone has made, and then you'll find like 10 levels that are just really bad.
Yeah.
So it's great that there's so much community behind it, but sometimes it's like, and I felt like the navigation for finding levels was kind of hard, and they made it like it should be more of a list system or something, because I could just never find anything.
Well, don't they let you sort by like rating? Tell me they do.
Yeah, you can sort by like keyword. They introduced that in the second one, but I still felt like you would either get all the same ones or you just get a bunch of terrible stuff that someone just like made in 5 minutes and put up for just to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for community-created, like games that have like a huge group of like creative community members that are building stuff, but I just don't think that the platforming engine itself comes together at all.
Yeah. So
But
then
Brian
we
loves
saw-
it.
What's that?
Oh, it's probably important to point out that Little Big Planet, was it 3 or 4? I forgot its name.
3.
3.
3 was announced and then showed live gameplay right in one show, which I think, and I think that like aside from the Ubisoft thing, which was obviously fake, and the all of the others seemed very fake, whilst this was a legitimate game demo of a game that was announced at the show.
Yeah, they were terrible.
Yeah,
But
but didn't it just look like a
They were
PS3 game to you
terrible.
guys?
It's not a graphical powerhouse, and it's going to be on PS3 also,
Yeah.
which they
It's,
announced
and it's
later.
coming out this year too, so hopefully you'd hope they have some good gameplay.
Yeah, and it's not made by Media Molecule. It's made by Sumo Digital, who are the guys.
Really?
Right.
They made Sonic All Stars Racing Transformed, which was actually really good.
Yeah.
And they're also
agree.
handling they're handling another game, another port. I think they're handling the PS3 version or something. Oh, it's Forza Horizon 2.
So,
The 360 version of that game they're handling. So after that, we saw Project Beast, which is now called Bloodborne, and it looks. I don't know what makes this different from Dark Souls. It looks very similar to me. But they're saying it's the spiritual successor to Demon Souls, which I thought Dark Souls already was, but I guess not.
can't they just announce Tenchu again?
No.
Oh, please.
I
I would
hate
be so
that game.
happy.
That is such an awesome series.
Tenchu is great. I still play the original PlayStation 1, and my PlayStation 2 Wrath of Heaven, I think it's called, I can't finish the game because it glitches out. It's totally messed up, but I still
Your
play
disc, you
the
mean?
I don't know if it's my disc or my save file, but I just have never been able to finish or get past parts of the game because it just starts glitching so bad. But I still love it. I still play it like a couple times a year because it's just great, and the graphics are horrible.
You know,
Sorry
From
to
the
take us off track from the here and now, but I just want to say I love that you could rip the soundtracks off of PlayStation games, or I mean even just listen to them in a CD player.
Yeah.
And I still listen to the Tenchu soundtrack all the time. It's bloody brilliant.
Yeah, bloody good pun there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, From Software, behind the critically acclaimed Dark Souls games, also developed Steel Battalion Heavy Armor. So I'm gonna wait and see on Bloodborne. Yeah. Anyway, then I think the best demonstration of the day. Maybe not that surprising given how good the last game was, but Far Cry 4. We got gameplay at the Sony conference, and it looks really good. Were any of you fans of the last one?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
enjoyed Far Cry 3 and especially Blood Dragon.
I didn't play Blood Dragon. I should have.
So good.
It just looked hard
so
to see to
easy,
me.
but it's
All the colors made it.
I'm the only person who played Blood Dragon for 30 minutes and then went. But I really liked Far Cry 3 a lot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously now the big thing is they have to just have a really good villain in these games. We'll have to wait and see.
I wish that didn't have to be the thing because, leading up to Far Cry 3, all the games were, each game was different. Far Cry, started out really neat and ended up sort of being a kind of generic monsters in the dark thing. Far Cry 2 was like that whole conflict diamonds and scenario and
area.
And then Far Cry 3 had its own take with the crazy villain, and it seems like Far Cry 3 did so well that they just had to like pump out another one at this point, and I'm really looking forward to it mostly because the console versions of Far Cry 3 were so visually compromised compared to like how they could have looked. I'm pretty sure Far Cry 2 actually looked better than Far Cry 3 on Xbox 360.
I thought that game was really good. Like looking.
It looked good. It looked fine, but it's just compared to the PC version, like the foliage was. It sounds weird, but like the foliage on those games is like one of the best parts about it because, like in the first game, in the second game, you would crawl through the grass and it would react to the way you were moving, and I'm pretty sure on the console version of Far Cry 3 it didn't move at all.
Yeah, that was the difference between like next gen and last gen for AC4 also. But yeah, like this gameplay demo they showed, you like leap into a car, you kill or a truck, you like kill two people, and then you drive their truck off a cliff. And
then you squirrel suit out of it, yeah.
Yeah, and then your friend's there, and you both blow crap up together. And then they made the big announcement, and this is really cool, that if you have the game and your friend doesn't, and you're on the PlayStation systems, he can drop in and play co-op or multiplayer with you.
Yep.
I don't know how they swung that.
Super dope.
And that might make me get this on PlayStation over Xbox, because I usually get my shooters on Xbox One because I like the layout of the controller better for shooters, but this seems like a pretty good deal.
What if they announce that it's going to be 60 frames on PS4 and 30 on Xbox One? Would you still consider getting on Xbox One?
Well, that would never happen. They'll compromise the resolution before they'll ever compromise frame rate. But if there was that much disparity, yeah, I'd switch. The only thing is, the executive producer from Far Cry 3, Dan Hay, is still on this game, but Alex Hutchinson is the creative director who did Assassin's Creed 3, and so I wondered how much influence he had on the direction. Obviously, he was the director of Assassin's Creed 3, but if there was some top-down stuff that made that game turn out not so great or whatever, I don't know.
I'm sure it'll be fine, but I'm sure. Let me back up. I'm sure it will be great, but I'm also sure that people are going to be like, okay, let's do something new now.
Yeah.
I feel like Far Cry is about to start being like Assassin's Creed, where it all starts to feel.
And I bet if you said that to Ubisoft, they'd be like, okay, great, because Assassin's Creed's still selling a ton for them. But,
right.
Next, we got a weird one. Dead Island 2 got announced, but it's being developed by Jaeger, the guys who made Spec Ops: The Line. Dead Island's never been very good, so maybe this will help. I don't know.
I like Dead Island, but I don't like the team's attitude toward women, so fuck it.
Oh,
we're going to play it again.
Even with the new developer and the new studio?
Yes, with the new developer and the new studio. Sorry.
Okay. After that, we got the weirdest thing of the press conference, that Last of Us clickers will be in Diablo 3. Why?
I am so looking forward. They're fully integrated. They have their own power-ups or moves or whatever. Like, who cares? That doesn't belong in there.
Yeah.
That's called synergy.
We got a little look at Magicka 2, and then
That's cool.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, it looks cool. And then Devolver Digital showed off Broforce, which just looks like Super Time Force to me.
It looks awesome. Damn it.
Super Time Force is like my favorite game.
Got that already on PC, so it's not
a big too, as well.
Wait, how is it?
Broforce.
Yeah, you said you played it, right?
Yeah.
On PC?
It is absolutely the stupidest best game. It's 2D, explosions everywhere. These 8-bit versions of all these action heroes. It's really good.
That sounds so much like Super Time Force to me. Like that's the exact way I described it. Is like it's so stupid, but it knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
They
I've seen
look
it.
identical.
I'm glad to hear it's good.
Yeah,
And so then
hopefully.
Suda51. I don't like Suda51 for the same reason that, for one of the same reasons that Michael said he doesn't like Dead Island. But he announced Let It Die, which looks very strange to me. Um, mostly because it looks like a more straightforward game than something he'd usually make. Although there's a lot of numbers flying around for like or like decapitating and stuff like that. I don't know. Do you guys like his games before?
Mm.
No, I just don't really care all that much.
Was never really into him. Yep.
Is my camera okay now? I see some people asking.
I didn't have any problems.
I can see.
Yeah, it's fixed out.
Okay, I didn't know if I cut out or something. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't really care about this game. I know a lot of people like him, but his games kind of have their own audience.
Not
And then,
personality.
yeah, of course.
That's
And then Giant Squid, who's founded by, I guess, the art director for Journey, announced Abzu, which looks like a fish game. I don't really know.
Oh, I thought the game was called Giant Squid.
No.
You're really selling it. The
It
fish
does
game.
look like a fish game.
I
Looks
don't
like a cool
really know
fish
much
game.
about this one.
Can we just talk about the best? Can we just talk about the best game that they showed?
The next game?
The best game.
No Man's Sky?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's next.
Oh. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Thought you
No
were
Man's
talking about
Sky
Uncharted
looks
4.
amazing.
It looks
And this game's
amazing.
being made by 4 people.
Yeah.
I'd love the. I mean, when I was watching the conference the first time, I had it playing on my phone because I was at like a big family dinner because we were visiting California and we were leaving in like 2 hours. But I really wanted to watch the conference, so I had it on mute and I was just like, I looked down and I was like trying to show my wife like while like her dad was talking to her, and she was like, yeah, well, that looks really cool. But then when I finally went and watched the conference, like I was just really moved by the guy who runs that studio, like talking about, you know, how it's like inspired by the like Robert Heinlein and other sci-fi that he read as a kid and always like wanted to, the worlds he wanted to visit and never could. I just think there's something so cool about like a small group of friends getting together to make something that looks so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like something that like they've always wanted to see created, and like they're basically making it so that other people can experience their dream. That's just such a cool concept.
Yeah. And that whole
also,
we don't even know where it's going to go, that whole idea.
Yeah.
I'm kind of skeptical about it, just because like they've shown like some dogfighting in there, they've shown exploring planets, but it just seems like there's no real goal to it, and it might just end up being a fly around space simulator, which is cool, but I think it could do more with that.
I think it's a valid concern.
Yeah, honestly, like
not plot, but something bigger, something.
They're very trusting in the consumer to be able to make the universe
their own
for
stories.
them.
Yeah. I definitely get a Minecraft vibe from it, not just because of the procedural. Well, I guess I should say mostly because of the procedural generated world, but yeah, I mean, I think that's actually what makes it really great looking to me, is that there is no goal, it's just exploration, and I'm sure there will be some kind of survival element and like, I don't know, craft like upkeep, I would assume.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, like that's all I need in that kind of a game.
Yeah. So
Did
I want to
they-
move. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, real quick.
I was just gonna ask 2 quick questions that maybe I missed or haven't read, but have they explained like the building tools within the game at all?
Not really. They
There
just said
doesn't seem to be any.
your own mark, and that like everything is like has chemical composition and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
it's but that's really it.
Okay, I was just curious because I didn't see anything about that, and that was my biggest concern, was like, how are these worlds really going to be built, or are we all going to be on the same like server or galaxy or whatever, or is it really, I don't know. There's a lot of questions.
Seems like
that I
it.
have.
Yeah, everyone starts on their own planet, and then you can go to other planets and see, and like people can leave marks so that like you know that they were there or whatever.
And plus, every planet you go to, it'll show like who discovered it, like who landed on it for the first time,
Cool.
as you're approaching its atmosphere. I will say, like, it is obviously good to be skeptical about it though, because it is such a small team, and like who's paying for the servers, and
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean it looks amazing though. Like I'm excited about it. You know, it looks like some huge Animal Crossing Minecraft world. Like that could just be really cool to
Animal
explore.
Crossing? I got more of like a Land of the Lost vibe from like I don't know.
I got new Star Trek, the newest movie. That vibe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, like probably you're thinking of like the opening of the second one.
Exactly. The red grass and stuff.
Yeah, it looked amazing. It looks great.
Yeah.
So I want to move on now because we have another conference to get to. I think we're gonna have a lot to say about that one too. After that, they showed Mortal Kombat, which I've never cared about Mortal Kombat, but boy, this game looks good.
The last one was really good too.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
So, and I actually only played it on Vita, where it was actually really ugly, but it was still great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, I saw it on Vita. It almost looked 2D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really bad looking game on there. There's gonna be a Ratchet and Clank. There's gonna be a Ratchet and Clank movie. Coming out, I guess, in theaters, which I was surprised. And then they showed off, besides Last of Us Remastered, they showed more Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, and the big thing, Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming to consoles. And you can carry over your online, at least.
Consoles.
Next gen, yeah.
Oh, excuse me, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
and PC.
Yeah.
It's going to be coming to both those systems, and if you have the 360 version, you can carry over your online stuff to PS4. But not your single-player stuff. I don't really care about the online mode in that game at all. It never panned out for me.
A lot
me too.
A lot of people still play it and really love it. I think I got online once, and then they started giving out a bunch of free money, and that kind of turned me off.
Yeah.
So.
I wanted to love it, but yeah.
Arkham Knight was next, and obviously they announced later it was on PC, so it's not going to look that good. But the game looks really smooth, at least.
Did they say that?
Yeah.
It's not going to look that good?
No, I'm saying it's not going to look that good.
I think it'll look great.
I don't think it's going to look that good. I think this might be more of a Watch Dogs situation with how they showed it, but, I mean, it looks very smooth. The one thing I wasn't crazy about, though, this was something they did in AC3 as well. They showed Batman countering, and it freeze frames for a second before he attacks back. I hate that. I
think what they were doing there was showing off. I can't remember what I read, but they were showing off like that. There's now a bigger window for countering. Like I don't know if it's optional.
It doesn't seem necessary because the combat's not especially tough in the Arkham games.
Sure.
That's interesting though. They do something like that.
Cinematic, yeah.
It's like you think that's become the gold standard for like beat 'em up combat. You think they just keep it exactly the same.
Right.
But the Batmobile stuff, it was so smooth looking. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And so last, and this I think it's funny. I thought the same thing as him when Brian wrote this big preview I'm reading off of to go by as an outline. He called it a CG trailer for Uncharted 4, but that is apparently in-engine footage.
It was obviously in-engine footage.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. It looked great.
No. I'm saying I don't think it did at all. I thought that was CG.
I believe that it's in-engine. I mean, there was parts in the third, even second one, but the third one that during gameplay were just blew me away. Naughty Dog, I feel like, they just know how to make visuals look really, really good.
Right,
in-game.
and they said moving forward they're not going to use any pre-rendered cutscenes anymore. It's all going to be like this. But seriously, I did not think that this was in-engine when I saw it. I thought, okay, that looks like a pre-rendered scene or whatever. And then the fact that they didn't show you actually like controlling the character and it just cut off made me think, okay, that was definitely just CG. And then no, they said no, that's in-engine. It's like, well, maybe you should have shown him walking for a couple feet or something.
Yeah, I mean, this is their premier franchise. This is their premier action franchise in-house for Sony. So I think they're going to do everything they can to make it look amazing. It doesn't have to scale to PS4 and Xbox One and PC. It's only going to be on PS4. It's going to look as amazing as they can make a game look on PS4. So I have full faith that the game is going to look just like that.
Yeah.
All right, so now I know Canipa, or Callum, you had mixed feelings about this next one we're going to talk about, the Nintendo show, and you let it be known. Now, this is the first time that I've actually been really happy with a Nintendo conference in a very long time. So we're going to run through this. First off with Smash Brothers. Michael, you're not a big Smash Bros. Fan, which surprised me when you told me that.
Just like I'm not a big Pokemon fan. People never believe me when I say I don't like every single Nintendo franchise there is. No, I mean, Smash Brothers is like, I mean, I understand that it has like high level players and everything, but it just feels like a baby fighter game to me, where like every move is just like a button press, and I don't know. That's, I played it as a kid. I actually found a home video where I was like 12 and I was playing with my younger nieces, the GameCube version, or not GameCube version. Anyway, I wasn't that young. Yeah, I'm just not into it. But having said that, I will probably buy every amiibo there is.
Yeah.
Stupid Wii Fit trainer, and that'll probably get me to get Smash Brothers eventually. In fact, I may just ask for a review copy. Wait, who's reviewing the 3DS version? That
Me.
You said that was you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you don't want to do the Wii U version?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's coming out in October now. It was supposed to come out over the summer, but it's Nintendo, so their games will never come out when they say they will.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep.
so yeah, Amiibo, I want to talk about this. So this is their answer to Skylanders and Disney Infinity, and I think it's going to be a smash hit. That's
Absolutely.
especially since there's going to be an adapter coming, so you can use it for the 3DS.
Well, especially since you can use the figures across multiple games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
that read writer is really coming into play now.
But you had started to say that Callum wasn't into the show.
Yeah.
It wasn't that okay. Initially, like before the conference, before the Nintendo conference, I was on the verge of selling my Wii U. I now have hope, like especially after like they showed games for 4 days straight. Everything seems to be coming in 2015.
Yeah.
And there's, I think, as far as Nintendo first party goes, there's, if you count Smash Brothers one game, I think there's 2 or 3 games coming out for the rest of the year, and load in 2015. Every time it was like, and I always mimicked their words as they were saying coming in 2015.
Hey man, Pushmo World is great, and it's coming out next week.
Yeah, it does.
So Yoshi's Woolly World. I just want to talk like Yoshi's Woolly World is. It's just kind of a Yoshi's Epic Yarn. It's the same exact thing, but it looks way better than New Yoshi's Island did.
I am super excited for that game. I loved Kirby's Epic Yarn, and I will go to the grave with that game because I have a huge love for it. I thought it was amazing in so many ways.
Just so you know that you can't. Sorry, just so you know, you can't actually take it with you.
Well,
do they not?
Maybe they'd probably take it out and burn it.
Yeah, probably.
But I think, the easiness factor of that game I thought was the single best part about it. But that's a whole other conversation. But the Yoshi game looks beautiful. It looks so good, and I couldn't be more excited about it. And I wish it was coming out this holiday, but I will buy it when it comes out.
I saw a lot of people comparing the visuals to Little Big Planet, saying that they were copying them, and I can kind of see that, but...
Yeah, my wife said that, actually, and I was like, no way, it's not the same at all. But that's just because I think that Nintendo makes good platformers, and Media Molecule, other than Tearaway, doesn't make good platformers. So. But anyway.
So next is the game that I thought is the stupidest idea in the entire world. So Captain Toad Treasure Tracker got announced as a full game. I had my fill of doing those stupid puzzles in Super Mario 3D World. I don't need them again, but what do you guys think?
I'm pretty sure... Yeah, go ahead.
I like it. It was one of my favorite parts of Super Mario 3D World, and whilst I don't think I paid full price for it, and I hear it is going to be retail, which is kind of disappointing.
Oh, that was the question I had. I actually assumed it was a $20 eShop game, Max.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the person I asked about it wasn't completely sure about it. I hear it's retail, and I really hope it isn't. I really hope it is just a downloadable title, but I'll buy it on sale.
Right.
But it looks good, and it's the puzzles that it showed, like in the treehouse stuff, all looks kind of fun and clever. It looks
and
like one of
expanded
those
upon the original
indie
game.
sort of things.
Yeah, I guess it's.
Yeah, they were trying a lot of. They were like introducing new gameplay and puzzle elements that weren't in the 3D world levels.
So then we got a look at Zelda, which I saw people comparing it to Eco, the graphical style. It looks kind of like a mix between the like Ocarina and Wind Waker, kind of they combined. The character designs with the overall art style. And there was rumors that Link would be a girl, or it wouldn't be Link at all. But I guess Anuma today said it's Link and he's a boy. So.
Oh, he did say that today?
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
So
I think that game. I mean, it's Zelda, so it's going to sell huge. But I like the fact that they're changing up stuff and willing to mess with the system again.
They better hope that that Mario Kart and these other games get people to buy Wii U's though, because Mario Kart 8 is already projected to be the worst-selling Mario Kart game of all time, just because of the install base.
It's selling a better pace than Mario Kart Wii was.
Is it really?
Yeah. Per the install base, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the install base only goes so far. And Mario Kart Wii was out in what, 2010?
2008,
no, way before that.
2008.
Was it really?
It was almost, it was, it wasn't a launch window game, because it was like 2 years almost to the date after the system came out, but it was still pretty early.
Okay. I just remember not liking it when I played it.
I don't like it either. But no, it's doing really well. The system sales have gone up fourfold, I guess.
Yeah, that's what
450,000 in the U.S. Yeah, but he didn't be like, well, it's selling X percent, blah blah blah. He specifically said 450,000 copies, and yeah, just based on my experience trying to get my Club Nintendo stuff sorted so we could give a game away on the podcast.
What happened with that? I got mine easily.
Well, it's because I got the game a month early, and then they made my survey expire before the game launched, before I could even access it. Because normally when you get like review copies, the surveys still don't go up. The product registration surveys still don't go up until the launch.
Right.
But this time, so anyway, they're fixing it.
I love how in that survey they ask, "Are you interested in this game because of the story?" Like, what?
Yeah, you know the story of Mario Kart 8, right? It's pretty well documented.
Yeah.
It's or Luigi's Revenge.
Yeah, it's obvious. He's riding dirty. Curious, is Bowser the last character you unlock? Because I just realized I don't have him yet.
I'm pretty sure it's random. Everything is random.
Is it really? Okay.
I could be wrong. I've got everything.
Okay, because I don't have Bowser yet, and I'm trying
Well, I've got everything except the gold hang glider. So.
Yeah, I'm still in the 100cc. I'm taking my time with it. But yeah, anyway, so Zelda, I just hope that they have a bigger install base, because the game so far, it looks beautiful. And talking about foliage, the grass looks great.
Yeah. It's so funny how foliage has become like a marker of what a great like new gen game looks like. But yeah, it does definitely look great. Oh, apparently Wind Waker is on sale for $35 right now on the eShop.
Okay, well I got it for free with Mario Kart.
Well, aren't you amazing? No, yeah, I would say that The Legend of Zelda would be like one of my games of show. Except that they showed 40 seconds of it.
Yeah, they didn't show gameplay of it.
They didn't show it in gameplay, so how can you...
Yeah. The curious thing I have to... Oh, go ahead, Michael, sorry.
No, just talk. I'm going to pull up the trailer.
Okay.
Just let it run on my screen while you...
I was just going to say that one of my biggest questions, which I didn't expect them to address, but and I couldn't care less either way, is if it's going to be motion controls or...
I hope not.
Like,
oh, no, they won't make it motion controls because that's not the big thing of the Wii U.
You don't think so?
I hope not.
No, I mean, they even honestly, they patched Pro Controller support into Wind Waker HD, so I'm sure that they will make it so that you can play with a number of controllers.
Do you think they might not go for a Pikmin 3 sort of thing?
You mean supporting Wii Motion Plus?
No, kind of. I mean, like
making
using
it optional.
Using the map, using the map while also using the nunchuck, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that The Legend of Zelda is a game that needs to show off the Wii U specific features. I think
It just needs to be Zelda.
just needs to be a great. It just needs to be a great new Zelda. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So after that, this is cool. I did not expect this. So Bayonetta 2, which seems to have been in development forever as well, is going to be It's going to be coming out in the fall. So it's actually going to be a game coming out for the Wii U this year.
October, I think.
Yes.
Finally. And when you buy it, you get the original Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Mario costumes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and like Samus, you can dress her up as Samus.
Yeah, I mean, I must be the only person in the world who's not excited for this game. I guess I've just seen like enough camel toes in action games at this point. I just don't need the hypersexualization anymore. It just doesn't do anything for me.
She's like a sexy librarian.
It did something for me when I was a teenager, for sure. And I guess Nintendo still needs to cater to that audience, but it's not me.
This seems like a game people are going to play with the Pro Controller, though, because I don't see the gamepad as being a great, like, twitchy, action-y sort of thing.
You can, like they were saying that you can get it out and like you can press on enemies or something and that attacks them, almost like an iPad game, but I hope that's not required to actually get through the game, because that would have really pissed me off.
Okay, so after that, for a brief second, I thought Nintendo had finally answered our prayers and were giving us a Wii U Pokemon game. But they weren't. It was just a little teaser.
They did make it look that way.
It was just a little teaser before Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which, granted, that's my favorite gen of Pokemon. I love Ruby.
It's funny because a lot of people consider it to be the worst.
Well, they're wrong. I like mixing berries.
You like mixing berries? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I like mixing berries and putting on those pageants. I can't tell you how much time I did that.
Has everybody here, other than Callum, seen my Pokemon movie?
I have, yeah.
I have not.
Okay, we'll talk about it after the show. Sorry. Anyway.
And so yeah, I mean, it's remastered, sort of like exactly like they did with X and Y, biding time. But yeah, I love that. God, I've loved that game.
Can I just ask, how does everybody feel about the fact that they still cannot get full 3D out of that engine on the 3DS, despite so many other games that look way better?
You mean with Pokemon?
Yeah, they've already, the first reveal trailer for this new Pokemon games, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, right?
Wait, you mean the
You know how in X and Y there's
it's like the battle isn't in 3D, or
the battle is in 3D, but it like chugs, it like kills the frame rate, so you might as well just leave it off, and then the rest of the game's in 2D.
Yeah,
it's the same exact thing. They showed that in the first trailer for these new games. Like, I don't understand like how, by 4 years later they still.
Well, I mean, the 2DS was marketed as a Pokemon machine, and it's kind of obvious that Pokemon is the anti-3DS 3DS game, the way they've been doing it. So I mean. Yeah. At the same time, obviously, they are using a 3D, sort of graphical style now. So
and it looks like a DS game, just a little bit better. And I don't know, like, why even like the battles look great in 2D. They're really smooth. They're really fun to watch. But then you put on the 3D, and like anything happens, it just chugs and it kills it. It's very un-Nintendo. So anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so then the game I care about, I think, maybe the least, besides the Toad one, Hyrule Warriors. I don't think this is going. I mean, I've heard people say that it's good, that they've played it and they liked it, but this just doesn't seem like something that needs to exist for me.
Did you watch any gameplay from it?
I have, and it looks fine, but that doesn't look like something I'd play when I think of Zelda. I mean, Midna's in it, granted.
Yeah, I wasn't interested in it either at all until I started watching people play, and yeah, I might give it a go.
Yeah.
I'll get it when it's price cut, probably, or I'll play it. I'll play a demo of it and see if I like it.
Is it full retail price?
I don't think they've said yet.
You think so?
It's a full game.
Yeah.
Why would? It's going to be $50.
Pointed out during that show that because this is made, this isn't made by Nintendo. There's some skin showing on Zelda there that wouldn't be showing if in a game that Nintendo developed. Interesting that they let them put that in there.
think Team Ninja did some of the character designs, but I'm fine with that because that's what Team Ninja does, and I
Did
wouldn't
they?
want them to. I'm
That's
sure
what I
they
heard
This
too.
is a Tecmo
did
Koei
the
game, though.
design.
I heard that
But they evolved it somehow.
So next, I think we got my two favorite parts of this show. Mario Maker. I'm really excited for this. You're gonna be able to make your own Mario. It's exactly what it sounds like.
And in case anybody missed this detail, it's not only going to be Super Mario Brothers and New Super Mario Brothers U tile sets. They didn't talk about this during the conference, but afterwards, they're going to let you choose like a whole variety of tile sets. So I'm assuming, Super Mario 2, Super Mario 3, Super Mario World.
Oh, that's great.
If they have all those games, I would be so amazed. Especially Mario World. If they had that, I mean, that would be so fun.
With
I played that game
the
too
football
many
helmet
times.
dudes through. Yeah, that'd be great.
Charging chucks.
Wait, hold on. I think you skipped the part where Nintendo revealed its white PlayStation 4.
Oh God, who posted? Was that Los Angeles Times?
Los Angeles Times in print, and then they showed a picture of somebody playing Splatoon.
Which we're getting to in a second.
Yeah,
On the
yeah,
Wii U.
and they set on the Wii U, and it said he was playing the Nintendo Splatoon. If you look at the print article, that says
So,
that.
let's get to Splatoon though. The Nintendo Splatoon.
Yeah.
I am just so happy that they announced a new IP.
They announced another one.
I just hope that this is a full retail game.
Yep.
Do you know what's crazy about this to me? Is I was sort of trawling through NeoGAF.
Don't do that.
A few threads. Sorry, I've got an account and you don't.
Yeah, they declined me.
I don't understand what the big deal is about NeoGAF. I got my account and anyway, I went through a lot of threads on, what is your game of show? And there was a huge amount of people saying Splatoon. And like that's really awesome. Like
a guy I used to work with, TJ, he's been saying that too.
I love the idea that like you yes, it's a shooter, but like you're not really using guns to like shoot each other and to like kill each other. I just love like all the cool things you can do with the I don't know if it was paint or whatever, but like you can swim in and like sort of sneak up on enemies.
You're squids, but it's and then they showed a little hint at Star Fox, which I've heard weird things about, and we'll see if they retune that because it seems it's very early. But after the conference, they also announced a new 3DS game, which looks
Codename Steam.
Dope.
And Codename Steam looks like something I really, really like. I love intelligent systems. I love Fire Emblem. I like third-person shooters, and it's kind of all of that together with Abraham Lincoln and aliens, and it makes no sense, and it's amazing.
Yeah, this is my game of show, and especially that's surprising to me, especially because that should have been Metroid. Damn it! But
it's not happening. No, they actually said they're working on it, but
yeah, they said they're working on it in 2D and 3D, which is great. But no, I kind of got bored by the live blogs I was reading and the still images and the constantly refreshing Twitter and hearing what I was hearing. But when I watched the demo, I was just kind of like blown away. I mean, I know that it's like a lot of people are saying that it seems a lot like Valkyria Chronicles, and I've only played one of those. I don't remember which one. I think there are 3 of them. I've only played one of them, maybe for a half hour. It was cool, but I actually got more of an XCOM vibe out of this.
Like the camera angles, at least.
Well, yeah. I mean, not even that. Like the sort of like the kind of different enemies you were facing, and they're sort of Overwatch.
Yeah, they just ripped off the name and called it Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, who knows if they'll change the name or whatever, but yeah, I'm really excited for this. This is like the game that I want to play now. This is the game where like, not that I would ever do this, but like every show I've ever been at where I've like played a demo, I've always wanted to, there will always be that one game where I'd be like, I wonder if I can just get that demo cartridge.
Yeah.
Just take it home and play it forever until the game comes out.
The thing about
Like,
Nintendo,
that's this
though,
game
is like
for me this time.
Nintendo has this console that they're trying to support, and obviously they have another portable system that they have so many games coming out for. Yet they had a show that was half an hour shorter than the others. Sony's was an hour longer than theirs, and you figure like if they had made theirs an hour and a half, they could have gotten a lot of this stuff into the conference. And obviously, this is a game that I think would have demoed at least to show a little gameplay footage of would have gone over really well.
You know,
'Cause it
so
looks
they
like a
do
really
that.
good game.
They do that to keep the end of E3 fresh. They did that
Yeah.
when they did that with New Super Mario Brothers 2 as well. I
Yeah,
remember.
they showed it off at that 3DS event thing,
I
where they
remember
didn't
being
announce Fire Emblem, and then they just tweeted out, "Oh yeah, Fire
And then
Emblem."
they said, "Oh yeah, Fire Emblem's coming." Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
because that was that 2012?
Yes.
So I remember, both E3s I went to, I had gone to the Nintendo conference. That's like my main goal, going to E3. And then I remember like finding out they were doing another thing that was where New Super Mario 2 was announced, and just being so mad that I didn't know about it. I couldn't even like ask for an invitation. But then
It
the
was
nice
very good anyway.
yeah, I think I gave it like a B minus. But the nice thing was though, it was a Wednesday night, and I was sitting in my hotel room, like kind of tired. I'm thinking like, should I just go home tonight? And then they're like, oh, the game will be playable tomorrow. So that gave me a reason to go back to Nintendo's booth and not just play New Super Mario Brothers 2, but like spend more time playing the games I had already played and actually get more ideas. So I think they do that, like I said, to keep things fresh.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to talk now. As we talked about all the conferences. First off, either your least favorite game that you saw showed off, or your biggest disappointment.
Go, Seth.
Okay, so yeah, if Seth, do you have one right after that?
Least favorite or biggest disappointment?
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
He's fighting to save the universe!
Did I pass and I keep them back? Does anyone have one off the top of their head?
I don't.
For me, it was Battlefield Hardline, and it doesn't look bad. It just looks like they're not like they don't have enough ideas to make this game without just making it feel like a Battlefield with a skin over it, like I said. So that's mine.
The least favorites. I'd probably say the new Kirby game.
You know what though about that? It just looked so great, like the sort of clay aesthetic. Like
I do like that.
Yeah.
They're using.
That's all they're doing for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of those platformers, besides Mario now, it's not so much changing up the gameplay. It's just like massively like giving a weird overhaul to the art style and
Using shaders to make it look unique.
yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, I don't know what my worst. I honestly I thought this was one of the best E3s in years, like across all platforms.
But what was the least best?
That's what I'm saying. It's like I just all the stuff that like was least best to me. It just went over my head, and I was just like,
Okay, I have one.
Okay.
But we already kind of said this earlier. I'm just gonna say Little Big Planet 3, because it just looks like more of the same, and I don't think they needed another one. And granted, it's a game for the PS4, but they don't need another game. It's just gonna be too much more of the same.
Do you want to pile on with that, Michael?
no, not really, because it's not even like to me that it's the worst. It's just I never liked that series to begin with, and honestly, if I cared, I would have been disappointed that the new developer did not make it something that I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a list right now. Maybe, you know what, my biggest disappointment of the show is Mass Effect 4.
Just because they didn't really show it.
They didn't show
Because
anything.
it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Okay, so now favorite game. And
Yeah,
what
I'd just
kind of
like to.
Can I name
I'd just
five?
like to. Excuse Kirby and say Fable Legends would be my worst. I just remembered that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, that's close for me too.
Oh wait, my biggest disappointment of the show. I'm sorry, I do know, and I'll give you a very concrete reason why, and it's Call of Duty: Advanced Warfare, and it's not because of the gameplay. It's because the music that they used when the guy was like, "I'm sacrificing myself for the greater good of corporate America," or whatever. Like the guy with the arm. It's just so phoned in at this point. Like, you're supposed to be moved by those music cues, and it just feels like...
I laughed.
Exactly.
That was a hilarious scene.
Exactly. And it shouldn't be that way. But you just expect it. You just expect it at this point, and
Yeah.
it's just... it's like that with every AAA game now. So.
Yep. Okay, so favorites. I have a couple. I'd say if I had to pick the one game I want to play the most, it's probably Sunset Overdrive, but No Man's Sky is up there too. And as far as CG, it's just a CG trailer, but Scalebound also really had me excited. So.
Yeah. I'd say Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Why didn't they just call it X? X was such a better name.
Because it's Xenoblades. They need to set based on that.
What's wrong with the faces in that game, though? Can somebody can we just
that is disgusting.
the faces are
They're really bad.
Yeah.
But the one for the Wii was phenomenal. There's so much to do. I still have so many hours into that game and haven't even scratched the surface.
I've still only played about 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up again at some point, maybe.
Yeah, it's a game that you have to get lost in. You can't just play it like for a weekend. You have to like dedicate like a summer to it, I feel like.
I'll play it the way I want, sir.
I just can't get into the MMO combat system in a single player game. That's one.
Well, have you played it?
Everyone keeps telling me to, and then I look and it's like $75, and I'm like.
Well, you know what? GameStop reprinted it though, for a while.
Didn't they like jack up the price more though? Because they like sold it. They opened up and sold them as used.
Yeah, they were selling it extremely high price used.
They weren't that high. They actually lowered it at one point to like $60. So I don't know. That's still more than a Wii game costs, but.
Yeah, it was more than when I bought it when it came out new with an art book.
So Seth, what's your game of the show? Or your favorite game anyway?
I'm gonna be obvious and say Smash Brothers.
You put on a good show, especially with
that
tournament.
Please.
No, I mean that's easily my most anticipated game from Nintendo right now. I'm a huge Smash fan for a long time and played too much of it, like probably most of Nintendo fans besides Michael. But they just nailed it with the conference. They had great announcements with the Mii Fighters and with Pac-Man, and they had so much gameplay, and allowing everyone to play it basically across the country I thought was really great. They have a lot of they're just not afraid to show it and let people play it, which I think is a great like statement saying like this game's just going to be solid and it looks amazing. I can't wait for it.
Yes, Gabe. Pac-Man is an exciting announcement.
God.
I mean,
I wanted Dig Dug more than anything in the world.
Dig Dug would have been great. I mean, I probably won't even play with Pac-Man.
Yeah,
just
you
like
will.
I'd really.
No, you will. I promise. You'll be like,
okay.
oh my god.
Stupid. Pac-Man hasn't been relevant since.
Yeah,
like,
but he's an icon. That's why. Because
he's coming back.
Pac-Man still exists in pizza
he's a
shops
cartoon on the
all
WB
around.
or the CW or whatever.
No. Pac-Man is still installed in pizza shops all around Brooklyn.
Tabletop arcades are the best thing ever made.
What if they let
Especially
you
when
play
you
as a
play at
Pac-Man
Pizza Hut.
machine instead?
That's stupid, Gabe. That's a bad idea.
And you could shoot little Pac-Mans.
That's ridiculous. Why would you do that? Quarters, maybe. Maybe quarters.
Yeah.
Quarters.
And eventually it like coughs, and that's like a big thing where it shoots out all the quarters.
But I do agree with you, Seth. I think it was you that said there better be a Miss Pac-Man skin.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I think there will be. I have been wanting them to do more skins since well, I guess since Brawl, but since after Melee, to get rid of clone characters because I just thought it would be easier. And it seems like with this version they're really doing awesome skins. Like with the Villager, they have like 4 different skins, and the Mii Fighters, they have like crazy costumes and hats and stuff. So they're like before it was just
3 different types.
color swap.
Yeah, it's what is it? Fighter. It's like Brawler. There's the
It's
sword one.
fighter, singer, and social worker.
No, but
Okay.
besides just
they're
the three types, there's actually then like costume swaps on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
it's
love
there's
their
3
solution
types.
though to not having like the calls for Reggie to be in the game, to just let you make a Reggie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna have Ron Jeremy fighting Samus for sure.
Yeah.
Because I have him on my Wii U. But you know.
It was weird too the Mii's that they chose to
Michael's
show
look
off.
of
They had like
disapproval.
Elijah Wood in there, but
Ice-T pours it on.
but it's funny because the one E3 I went to in 2004, I like ran into Elijah Wood at E3, so it like weirdly brought back this flashback of that.
No,
I
you
don't know
didn't.
why. I have a picture to prove it.
Well, I have a
email
picture to
him.
prove that I interviewed Ryan Phillippe, so we can swap pictures.
So Breach was a
Sweet.
movie. Do you care to comment?
But yeah, Smash looks great. Can't wait for it.
And so you said it already, Michael, but what's your favorite game and why?
The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt.
No, it isn't.
You're right. I actually have 3 games of show.
Okay.
One is the already mentioned codename Steam,
Mm-hmm.
for the aforementioned reasons. The other is No Man's Sky, because be skeptical about it, but I just can't believe the magic of what those 4 people pulled off, and hopefully will pull off when it's released. And the other one is a game that we haven't talked about at all yet, and that is Alien Isolation.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm not holding my breath for that, but it is a good developer.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of great things about people pulling off the Oculus headset mid-game and being like, okay, fuck this, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And, it's like
Brilliant.
it's like with Outlast. I can't play much of that game at a time. I can usually play 5. Well, yeah, but that would kind of spoil for me the whole point of it. But I can only play 5, 10, 15 minutes of that at a time before I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. But the Alien universe is one that I've always loved, and I actually want to be crap my pants with terror at a game set in the Alien universe, and so yeah, I'm
just glad they're doing Alien and not Aliens. I think everyone always praises Aliens, but I saw it and it does not hold up very well as someone who's been, those tropes have been known, and I know that they introduced a lot of the tropes, but going back, I didn't get into Aliens at all, and I really still...
Talking about the movie?
Yes.
You don't think the movie holds up?
Correct. And I saw the original Alien, and I think that movie still really does hold up, because the survival horror, or not survival, the horror in that game, it's kind of a more timeless thing.
Yeah, for sure. And to be fair, a lot of the tropes that we recognize now as video game tropes,
they're from that.
Actually came from Aliens. But yeah, it's just everybody always has to make a game based on aliens. It's always got to be about Space Marines, basically, and everything is doing that. So let's do something a little different. I will say that Alien Infestation for the DS is an exception to the rule. I think it's fantastic, and everybody should play it.
That's God. What game? I saw someone comparing it to another game. It wasn't Metroid. It was something else.
Which game? Comparing the DS game?
Infestation. Wait a minute. Maybe it was you. Maybe I was reading that Metroidvania thing you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was him.
Yeah.
On the site.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
that was unintentional advertising, but there you go.
Well, yeah. That piece has our biggest tailwind on the site. But anyway, yeah, it's the closest we're gonna get to Metroid Dread on the DS or 3DS probably. It's very good.
The last category I just want to talk about are your biggest surprises. The game that you didn't even know about or didn't expect to think was amazing, and then just ended up blowing you away. What's yours?
Rainbow Six.
Oh yeah.
Which was actually also one of my games of show. I just forgot.
Okay.
Sorry.
And I'm more surprised that I'm the most skeptical about that one, since I'm a huge Clancy nut. That game was just kind of like, oh. And mine's Assassin's Creed Unity. Well, actually, I have two. The two huge franchises, Assassin's Creed Unity and Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, both surprised me that I'm really interested in them. Call of Duty maybe a little more so, because Assassin's Creed 4 was awesome. Call of Duty Ghost, the campaign was and this, it looks pretty good. Yeah. And you can make fun of me if you think that a guy hosting a video game show is talking positively about Assassin's Creed, but go fuck yourself.
I don't care if you like Assassin's Creed. I don't
mean you. I mean Joe Blow.
I was gonna say I just think that you should also know what Game Center CX is.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that is. Actually, I do now because I watched the video you sent me.
Callum knows, right? Callum?
You're closer.
No idea.
Oh my god.
He doesn't know what that is either?
That's fine. You're all younger.
Yeah, you're closer to Japan though, okay? So
geographically,
some of the
I also grew up in the 80s playing the games that he plays, so that's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. But Seth, what's yours?
I'm gonna go with No Man's Sky for sure, because I mean, the whole aspect of that game is so intriguing, and it just looks like it could be extremely fun to just get lost in, for real. Like, I've been waiting for a game to really get lost in forever,
Literally,
I feel
you'll
like.
get lost.
Yeah, and I mean, you could do that in Minecraft, sort of, but, and there's other games that kind of have scratched the surface, but I am still skeptical, but it does seem like this might be that game that you can really, truly get lost in, and just, like, every time you turn it on, you're just finding something new or meeting new people or whatever. And
That'd be closer to my surprise if I wasn't already so blown away from it at the VGXs. I expected it at this point, but...
Yeah, I didn't see much from those, so I was pretty excited about it and wish there was more to know, but I guess we have a ways till it comes out, so we'll see.
Callum, what's yours?
I'd have to say, and I know, like, the entire conference I was just complaining about CG trailers the entire time, but Scalebound on Xbox One exclusive, like, it's it's not completely positive surprise that it's Xbox One exclusive, but that's a surprise. And just seeing Kamiya up there saying, I'm making a new game, and knowing that it's going to be great, that's a surprising yet still good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to buy an Xbox One.
I'm gonna say, like, as someone who got one at launch, I don't regret the decision. I'd recommend if you get one that you still bite the bullet and get Kinect, because I really like it for the navigation. And for some, like Battlefield 4, it's way easier. But anyway, oh, Michael's sad
Is
about
that okay? Can I just throw something out there real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just saying that my real disappointment of the show was actually Nintendo's Mother 3 joke. It's not so much that they, like, brought it up and blasted the guy, like, to hell that brought it up.
It's that they didn't actually announce it.
No, it's that afterwards, Steve, I think it was Steven Totillo, was interviewing him and was like, you made a joke about Star Fox, and you made a joke about Mother 3, and then you announced Star Fox, and then Reggie was like, don't go there. And then Steven Totillo was like, but you, and Reggie was like, don't go there. And Steven Totillo was like, and Reggie was like, don't make me break out the laser eyes. Like, what a fucked up thing to do. I'm sorry.
But let's talk one more thing. Let's talk more about something Reggie said, and this is the dumbest thing a Nintendo executive has said in a long time. Said that watching Twitch streams is not fun. And I'd say that the amount of people who've had fun watching a Twitch stream of a fucking Nintendo game would counter that argument.
Even if you're not looking at the Twitch Plays Pokemon phenomenon, their Treehouse Live events did record numbers and on Twitch. And to be fair, he did say that, like, watching a stream by itself is not fun, but that's also bullshit.
Complete bullshit.
I have watched plenty of people play games and then bought the game.
Darksiders too. I got it because I saw people. I mean, that didn't help them that much, but I bought that game because I saw people playing it on YouTube.
Right.
But without any commentary, without like a face cam or anything, because the Wii U doesn't have those capabilities, and
it has a camera on the gamepad.
Yeah.
It does.
So you could look at me while I'm playing like this.
Yeah. Exactly.
I remember just sticking tape over that because it freaked me out so much playing Nintendo Land.
Like, they have a built-in camera and a screen on the thing. You'd be right there. I mean, not an ideal solution, but it's there.
That's actually a good point. That actually is perfect for streaming. What the fuck, Reggie?
Yeah. Did someone make a weird noise? Did I make a weird noise or something?
I didn't actually hear that noise, but...
Yeah, from my point of view, you were like, ding, 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 ding.
All right.
For a second.
Well, that sounds like a good point to cut this off, because we've been recording for over 2 hours, and I want to go to bed.
Oh.
And Canipa wants to get up and eat lunch, probably.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have some Devon?
Like,
I found out what Devon is.
Now. Devon, what?
Do you guys know what Devon is?
No.
Is that like Snook?
No, it's like spam, but it's in Australia, and I found out what it is. You've never heard of it?
No.
Oh my god, I know something you
He's
don't.
just making this up.
No, no, it's called Devon. It's Devon.
He's definitely making it up.
I'm not
That's
making it up, man.
that's a place in England.
Yeah,
That's
Also
right.
German.
It's also like a cheap lunch meat in Australia.
Okay.
also the name of a
Yes,
douchebag I work
Australia.
with is Race now.
What?
So it's also
Oh,
the
we call it. Yeah, we call it something different here. We call it Fritz. In
Oh.
the place of us, because everywhere in Australia has different names for this one thing. So yeah, we call it Fritz.
Hmm.
Anyway, I think that's a good
Anyway.
point to to end this all. So we will see you next week. We should be back to normal on our regular schedule. We hope you guys enjoyed E3 and our coverage of it. And go check out Canipa's YouTube channels at youtube.com/Canipa Possum and the other one, Canipa Effect. What is the URL for that?
The Canipa effect. I didn't scrub the URL for that one.
All right, there you go. And we'll see you next
Yeah.
time.
Thank
Follow
you
us
for
on
inviting.
Twitter.
And we'll
Yes.
put the links in the description there.
Okay.